Hey everybody, Flubier Collector here. It's a rainy Tuesday, day after Memorial Day, and anyway, just a quick project update. With the exception of just a few little more things that probably aren't even going to be worthy to create a video on, I can say that the reorganization project is effectively finished and things are back up on the shelf. So here's a quick snippet of the project and what it looks like here in the end. So here's everything back up on the shelves. The top two rows, as I'd mentioned in previous videos, are essentially all of the savered cards. Again, I mentioned the naming convention that I decided to use basically is prefixed by foot as football, bask for basketball, base for baseball. If it's got miscellaneous or some type of non-sport related, I use MISC. And then the hockey box is actually inside the house at the moment, but done HOCK for hockey. The middle part of the name is CS for card saver, PSA for the slabs, or raw is just my poly-sleeved cards. Essentially, I'll go through kind of the inventory of the boxes that I used. Inside of each one, in terms of knowing what's inside, let's see if I can easily get this out. In each one, I've essentially got a piece of paper written in it right now. And I will label the boxes at some point, but like I say, it's not going to be worthy of making a video. Each one of these has a paper that tells me exactly what's in the box. I'll be able to use that to basically attach all the individual line items in my spreadsheet to the box for which they're going to sit in from an inventory standpoint. And I can do that. I don't plan on moving things in and out of boxes for the most part, so as they lie, that's how they'll be. But I have basically up to, 30 of the BCW monster boxes, mostly full. There's a few where I left spacing in the box, but not much. 34 column, 32 count monster boxes, and then a couple or three football in total. One's just a 2 column, some basketball and miscellaneous. So as you can see, there's plenty of cards. Again, probably more quantity than quality in terms of stuff, but I was kind of surprised at how many savered cards I ended up deciding to use, or put into the card savered sleeves. Sizable effort, no doubt. So as I mentioned, I used the 3200 count storage boxes for my raw cards. Then for the card saver cards, they work perfectly, is the graded shoe storage boxes, and I just used the 2 columns with the card savers. That boxes actually get fairly heavy once you get the cards in them. And then I've got the shorter, if I needed a 2 column just for regular cards. It's just the shoe storage box rather than the graded shoe storage box. And then in a couple instances I just used some single columns in varying counts, just to kind of deal with some overflow for an area that I wasn't planning on expanding in. In terms of the card savers themselves, I either used the card saver 1 for your standard size card, and I use card saver 1s obviously for any submissions that I decide to do to PSA. They're already in the proper sleeve that they prefer. Card saver 3s for any of the oversized type cards. Most notably for me would be some of the 69, 70 type basketball cards in the collection. They're a tall card. And then card saver 5s, which aren't really part of the reorg project, but I use those predominantly for my tickets. to basically store those in and keep them protected. And then from the sleeves, most of the ones that I used were the cardboard gold standard soft sleeves, or the tall card sleeves from BCW, and then I just, in the process, of some of the thick cards, which I don't actually have many of. I don't collect any of the relic card type things. I just made a little BCW card thickness point gauge, and you're able to print it out from the PDF document such that everything's to proper scale. So you can essentially, as you're going through it, you can basically put the card up next to it and see what size sleeve / saver top holder that you might want to use. So that was kind of a quick, easy cheat sheet to use. And I actually made 4, so I could have one in the house, one out here, and then just a couple lying around, so that I don't, it's like a screwdriver. It's like you can never have too many of them. And then these are some of the boxes. That the packages were open when I had acquired them. I just took them out and basically put them in card savers or the poly sleeves, depending on what they needed, what I want them to be in terms of preservation. The better cards, again, in this card savers and sleeves, and the others are just in the sleeves. But those are just some empty boxes, but I figured I'd keep them and just tuck them into a box and throw them up on a shelf. Another part here is, as I was going through, I did decide to pull out some additional individual. So I do have a collection here that are going to go into card savers that weren't originally going to be in them. And so now I've got to put those into sleeves, and then I'll put them back up into the card saver boxes. So I'm expecting to expand a little bit of the card saver ones a little bit, so there'll be a little bit of shuffling, but that won't be too terrible. But anyway, that's the project. It is what I essentially am calling done in the grand scheme of it. When I started this whole endeavor, which there's over 100,000 cards in the collection, and that doesn't include cards inside of any of the factory sets or any of that kind of stuff. They all had to be poly sleeved, so I sleeved over 100,000 cards. However many card saver fit into the box, call it 80 to 100, I'm guessing, in a card saver box. Could be even more than that. Most of those CS boxes on the top row there are in card savers, so I had to then sleeve those and obviously get everything hand collated into numerical order. It's pretty sequential in terms of year. There are a few exceptions, but not really. That was the intent of the project. I still have to take some items that got pulled off this shelf to put back in or onto the shelves, which I'm going to start here shortly, which are some of the factory sets, and then a bunch of unopened product that's going to go back up on the shelf and kind of take up the additional space. And then my third slab cabinet that I originally had some of my 1971 top super cards in there. I finally got the plexiglass front, it's 1/4 inch plexiglass that'll slide in. I actually just got that today, and so I'll be able to put that into the case, and I just have to load it with what I'm going to put in there, and then put the plexiglass on there, and that'll be done. Then I can move on to the next project, which I have a few to pick from. But anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed a little bit about the project. And it was fun doing, even though it was definitely tedious and time consuming. Probably, I don't know when I started it. It had to have been a year or so ago. But thanks for watching, and talk again soon. God bless.